All right, today's topic is what I would call the war on our immune function. And I say it's a war on our immune function because doctors and people that should be in charge of your health and trying to get you as healthy as possible never really talk about ways to strengthen your immune system. They're mostly just focused on pharmaceutical interventions to heal you when you get sick because your immune system was not so good. And that's very important for their industry to succeed. So, I have 10 things here that I'm going to focus on and that I would say are the most important things you could do to keep your immune system strong so you can stay away from doctors and pharmaceutical interventions unless it's an absolute necessity or an emergency. So, in no specific order, number one, I have purpose. This, I guess a lot of people would say doesn't really tie into it, but I disagree. I think when you are on a mission and you have goals and you have a vision and you're chasing after something, that it gives you something to live for almost. So, imagine somebody that's like in a hospital bed and they're like really sick and a doctor's saying like, we don't know if you're gonna make it or whatever. The people that have like fight and that have like a stronger will to survive, I think they all have like a purpose. I really do. So I think that's actually a big part of like health and keeping your immune system working properly is being aligned with a purpose and chasing after something that you believe in. Number two, I have gratitude. This is something you can practice all the time, no matter what kind of situation you're in. It's going to be easier if your situation is awesome and you're in a great relationship and you love your friends and your family, you love your pets, you love your job, you love the school you're going to, you have a really great time pursuing any of your hobbies and all that kind of stuff, and you're just like living a great life. It's great. It's easy to be grateful for all that, but it's also easy to ignore that and just kind of think that kind of stuff comes take it for granted. So there is a little bit of a practice where you have to stop and really reflect on how lucky you are if you have it good. The flip side of that is when you're in terrible situations, it's going to be really hard to be like grateful about them. But what you can do is always look to see like what kind of lessons you're being taught, what kind of self-discovery you're going through, or the limits that you're getting your limits tested and really figuring that out. It's good to be able to look at it that way and be like, wow, I'm really grateful I learned those things about myself, and I know that if a future situation happened that's similar to this one, that I wouldn't break. So gratitude is another one, and I would recommend practicing this as often as possible. I really would. Number three is good relationships. This goes for friendships as well as relationships with significant others, as well as relationships with your family and roommates and anything like that. But as far as like friendships go, cutting out people that are negative influences in your life can be difficult at first, but it's so worthwhile in the long run. Like I can't overstate that fact. And just toxic people in general. And you will learn quickly. Some people don't learn too quickly, but just dealing with toxic people, you'll start to recognize patterns, and maybe a new person will come into your life, and you'll know like pretty quickly that person is toxic and not somebody that you should be spending time around or being influenced by. But this also goes for relationships with your significant other. So, if you're going to spend time working on a relationship that's like a serious relationship and the other person is not good for you, that's going to create a lot of stress. Stress is what we're trying to avoid with all of these things on this list, basically. Because stress is going to be a significant contributor to how your immune system functions. The more stressed out you are, the worse it's going to be for you. So don't be dating somebody that makes you lose your mind and is playing games with you all the time and whatever else. Set the rules, set your boundaries, and then spend the time together enjoying each other's company and not being like weirdos playing games and just being like, adult versions of children. I don't see the point in it. It's such a dumb way to live and uh, try to make something work out. It's just pointless. So that segues perfectly into number 4, which is low stress. Stress is a killer. Stress causes all types of disease. There's so many studies out there on it. So anything you can do to lower your stress, and all of these things kind of tie into that. But for instance, other things you could do would be like meditating, prayer, breathing techniques, spending time relaxing, reading a book, taking it easy now and then. Don't take it easy too much, but taking it easy now and then, not pushing yourself too hard. Of course, you want to be getting after it and going after your goals, but realizing when it's time to just like unwind, relax, not burn yourself out, because the quicker you get burned out, the quicker you're just gonna give up on on your vision and whatever else you see for yourself. So do your best to keep a low amount of stress in your life. This is gonna put your body into a parasympathetic state, which is gonna help heal you. You have to be in this state to heal diseases, okay? So do your best to get there. Number 5, I have a whole foods / balanced diet. Excuse me. Now, it's going to be easier to get a balanced diet if you're focusing on whole foods. Whole foods have good macronutrients and good micronutrients in a lot of times, like the perfect amounts, even like more than you need sometimes, so that you can hit all these goals. And your body essentially, when it is digesting food, wants to look at a food and be like, oh, that's chicken. Oh, that's a potato. My body, the human biology, has been digesting these things for thousands of years, if not more. So it knows what to do, and it can easily digest them and not spend too much energy doing that. If you're eating like Doritos, and you eat a Dorito and your body's like, wow, this Dorito is made of 20 ingredients and 15 of them aren't even food, they're food-like substances. Your body's gonna look at that and be like, great, now we have to figure out what kind of category we're gonna put all these different things into, how we're gonna digest it, what kind of energy we're gonna use to digest it, all that kind of thing. It's a waste of time. If you're trying to detox your body from other diseases and other crap, eating food that is just full of more crap is going to slow that down. So eating a whole food and balanced diet is very big on keeping your immune system strong and healing disease. Number 6, I have exercise. Now, if this list was in like a specific order, I would have exercise as number 1, and I would probably have a whole food balanced diet right behind it. And I also think exercise and the whole food / balanced diet tie in perfectly with each other. Exercise is going to be great for your physical health. So, your strength, your cardiovascular system, your mental health, your outlook on life. It's going to teach you that doing hard things pays off, and it's going to teach you to delay gratification so that you can be happier further down the road because of the sacrifice you've made, putting time in at the gym, going on a run, doing whatever. It's gonna pay off in the long run for you, which is really huge. And also, when you're focusing on exercise and making substantial gains in that area, whether it be like strength or stamina or anything like that, your body's gonna say like, where's the fuel for this? Are you inputting good fuel, good food sources to make gains happen in this area? So each of these things are going to keep you accountable for the other. Exercise is going to keep you accountable to be eating a good diet. When you're eating a good diet, you're going to want to exercise more, and you're going to say, I want to put this food to use and really make my body as strong and robust and efficient as possible. Now, there's been some studies that have come out recently that has shown that like the more muscle mass you have, that's inversely correlated to like all-cause mortality. I'm not sure why. I would have to read more of the studies to figure out why, but they're just figuring this out. They're like, if the more muscle you have, the less likely you are to die from literally everything. I would say that's true as long as you're not abusing steroids to get a high amount of muscle. People that know what they're doing, maybe that's okay, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would stay natural for as long as you can. Number 7, I have sunlight. Sunlight is so good for your body. Your body absorbs sun through your skin, through your eyes, and it's going to contribute to your wakefulness and sleepy hormones that are going to be telling you when to wake up, when to go to bed. It's going to give you plenty of vitamin D, which is great for your immune system, and it's going to affect several other hormones in your body that are important for it to be functioning properly. Sunlight, I would also add just like being outside and getting fresh air / spending time in nature with sunlight. I think it's really important to focus on these things if you want to live comfortably and be in a really just like upbeat, healthy, energized, focused, grateful state of being. I know a lot of places in the world it may be hard to get a good amount of sunlight, so you could supplement with vitamin D to kind of counter that, or do some like red light therapy. During where I live in Pennsylvania, during the winter when the sun's going down very early and it's gray a lot of the time, I'll supplement with vitamin D to counter that. But there's at least 6 months out of the year in most places where you can get ample sunlight. So I recommend doing that, spending more time outside, doing whatever, just being with your friends, reading a book, exercising, taking a walk, just appreciating nature. I would put those all in a similar category. Don't get sunburned. Avoid that if you can. Stay in the shade when you need to. But I also wouldn't be using like sunscreen that often to like block the sun's rays. I would use sunscreen, if you're in a situation where you're gonna be in the sun directly for a prolonged amount of time. Sure, go for it then. But otherwise, I would probably skip it and let your body react to sunlight the way it should. I know it can be hard for some people that are working all day and they get home and the sun goes down and that's it. They just didn't get any sunlight that day, but do your best. For people that get home from work and go inside and sit on their phone on the couch and do that until the sun goes down, get up and go to work the next day and do it all over again, and they're basically getting no sunlight. I don't know what you guys are doing. You are depriving yourself of something so vital, and I can't recommend enough against that. So soak it in, guys. Come on. Number 8, I have avoiding drugs and alcohol. Drugs and alcohol, while sure they're fun, they are just toxins that your body's gonna have to spend time, detoxifying and getting rid of. And if you're already dealing with sickness, that's just more stuff that it's gonna be dealing with, and you don't need that. If you have some like a sickness like I do that's caused by various pathogens that your body's already trying to get rid of all the time, you don't need to be adding more toxins to just like increase your toxic load and put more stress on your body. It's not necessary. It's not helpful. I understand that most people go through like a partying phase, and I do think that is kind of important to get out of the way when you're younger. I see a lot of people though that can't get out of that and stay like drinking or using drugs for a long time. And I'm starting to notice it catch up with them. I'm in my like early to mid 30s now, and so I'm seeing people my age that have been drinking regularly for like 15, 20 years now, and I can see what it's doing to them, and I can only imagine what they're going to look like at 40 or 50, and how different I'm going to look compared to them. And I can already see it starting to happen, like when I look at them and when I look at myself. I'm not saying I'm like like the pinnacle of health or anything, obviously, but I'm starting to notice that a little more. So yeah, you can have a couple drinks to your friends now and then. That's fine, but don't make it like an everyday thing or a part of your life. A lot of people are actually they're alcoholics and they don't want to admit it, but when you talk to them, they're like, "Oh yeah, I drink every day. I have a drink every day." Well, technically, you're an alcoholic. I don't know what to say. You can't really sugarcoat that. But alcohol is a poison in every sense of the word. Dehydrates you, can cause all kinds of problems. If you're avoiding drugs and alcohol, you're also avoiding things like overdoses. You're avoiding things like risky behavior that these substances would put you in that kind of environment that could cause death. And obviously, if you want to be healthy, you can't be dead. So that's very important too. They're just not. I just don't recommend them really. There's a couple that have their time and place, I will say, and maybe I'll make some videos about them much later. Especially something like psychedelics are very interesting, and they can definitely be used therapeutically for a lot of different stuff. And I have in the past actually beaten addictions with them, and it's very fascinating, and I will talk about that more in another video. But for the most part, avoiding drugs and alcohol is going to be helpful to you. Nicotine, there's a lot of research coming out now that's suggesting that nicotine is actually neuroprotective, and it has a lot of other good benefits, and it can fight off a lot of disease and crap in your body. But up until now, recently, most people have gotten their nicotine through tobacco products, which are very carcinogenic. Tobacco is terrible for you, but with things like nicotine patches or the pouches like Zyn, you can isolate just nicotine, avoid the tobacco entirely, and enjoy the benefits of that. Of course, it's addictive, but if you're an adult and you got a good head on your shoulders, you already know it's addictive when you start, so you can kind of like look for the signs to be like, okay, I need to cut back here or there, so you don't develop like a dependence on it. We can trust you with something like nicotine, right? We're all adults here. Sleep, so important. Without sleep, you cannot heal. You cannot function. If anybody has ever gone on like a day or two without sleep, you'll know how useless you are, how you can't even think, you can't even do, your energy's gone, you can't even start like hallucinating without sleep. It's terrible. And your body craves it, and your body knows it wants sleep. So every night, it's not even really that difficult. Make sure you get like 7 to 8 hours of sleep. I wouldn't recommend sleeping more than 9 hours. Wouldn't recommend sleeping less than 7. Try to get 7 to 8. Not too difficult once you get in a good like sleep pattern and develop those habits. And then number 10, I have micronutrient intake. Now, if you're eating a whole food / balanced diet, you're going to get most of the micronutrients you need. And if you're spending time in the sun, you'll get plenty of vitamin D, for instance. But there are a lot of people that have genetic factors that make it difficult for them to uptake vitamins properly, and for their body to like use vitamins properly. So they can be deficient in those areas, and it's not their fault, even if they are eating a good diet. So they will need to supplement for some of them. So it's not a bad idea to get some testing, some blood work done to figure out maybe if you're deficient in some areas. Like a common one would be vitamin D, or some of the different B vitamins you could be deficient in, and you would want to supplement with those. Make sure you get your supplements from a trusted company and not just like some generic crap off Amazon. But I used to take a ton of supplements when I was really sick. I was just doing anything I thought would help. You know what I mean? And it's probably like half the supplements I was taking, I didn't even need to be taking. So I was just kind of like throwing money away. Get, you know, get some blood work done, figure it out, talk to a doctor that is proficient in that area. And then even I got some genetic testing done recently to figure out like what genes I have that are causing maybe some of these problems. And it's good to figure that out because then you can avoid certain supplements that your body will have like a real issue with. And I'll talk about that in another video, but micronutrient intake would be my number 10. Like I said, this list is in no specific order, but I guess if it was, I would put exercise at number 1, followed closely by the whole food / balanced diet. This is all going to be very important for keeping your immune system as strong as possible, guys, because as we see lately, there are things going around that I'm not going to say one way or another where they came from, but, you know, what we're being told is that we need pharmaceutical interventions for these. And lately it's been stuff that's completely untested, which is absolutely ridiculous to think that, oh, I should take this like pharma product that we don't even know what could happen in the long run from, but I'm going to do it because they suggest it. Meanwhile, they're not talking about any of this stuff. Doctors aren't telling you any of this stuff. And that's because they are just glorified drug pushers, essentially. So they have an interest in keeping you sick, you know, alive, but sick, right? That's gonna ensure that you are a repeat customer for them. I've talked about it in another video about how subscription-based healthcare is the new way forward. That's what they're trying to push everyone towards. And you can also see the subscription model with just about like anything, dude. Like if you look at streaming services, that's a great example. You want to go watch TV, now you have 30 different streaming apps to choose from, or if you want to listen to music or anything like that. And so that's the way things are moving forward, because that's going to make them the most money. So when everyone's in the boardroom gathered around and somebody's like, well, if we never teach them how to stay healthy and we just kind of like are selling them drugs all the time, that's going to make us the most money. And everyone's like, wow, clap, clap, clap. Great idea. Let's do that. Because all they care about is maximizing shareholder value, unfortunately. So stay vigilant, guys. Stay on top of this stuff. Really focus your best on it. And, you know, as much as you can, try not to rely on pharmaceuticals. You know, they are there. So if you need them in a desperate situation or an emergency, you can take them. But for the most part, you shouldn't just be like happily making them a part of your everyday experience if you can avoid it. So that's what I gotta say about that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and learned something. And maybe you guys could tell me some other things that you think would make a good addition to this list that I didn't include, or that I maybe didn't elaborate on enough. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Just to add to everything I just said about immune function, and of course strengthening your immune system is important for everybody, but in this area of tick-borne disease and infections, you will likely never fully clear some of these infections. The best thing you're going to be able to do is to put them into remission so that you don't have to live with the symptoms. Now, and they might, you know, the bacteria, the pathogens might still exist in places in your body, but you can live a life symptom-free by going into remission. And this is done by bolstering your immune system, making it strong, making it so it can keep these things at bay, and so you don't have to think about it ever again. So that's my main thing with strengthening your immune system. Of course, it's going to help a ton of other diseases and illnesses that are
around us every day and thrown at us in every way imaginable. So that's why it's important. And yeah, take care.